everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today for an introduction to a new TBR game. So before I go ahead and explain what the new TBR game is, I just wanted to let you know that this video is going to be an explanation of the game and a run through of what everything means, how to play and all of that. So if you're here specifically to actually watch the TBR game, I'm going to make a separate video and that will go up next Saturday, so in a week's time. I'm doing this because otherwise this could potentially be an extremely long video and I just don't think that people really want to watch a potentially 40-minute long video about a TBR game. So first of all, I just wanted to let you know this is actually my second TBR game that I have created and will have played on my channel. The first TBR game I introduced to the channel and to all of you 2 years ago in November. It was Roll of Reeds and I had so much fun with Roll of Reeds. I've decided that for the time being, I'm going to retire Roll of Reeds, at least as a monthly TBR game. And I'm going to today introduce you to the new TBR game that I'll be playing as of November. And that TBR game is called TBR Campaign. So, Roll of Reeds had a couple of elements that were based on Dungeons and Dragons, the role-playing game. TBR Campaign has quite a few elements that are based on Dungeons and Dragons, and when I go through everything you'll understand what I mean by that. I just want to say also that although I'm retiring Roll of Reeds, it doesn't mean that I'll never bring it out again. I do really love that game and I've had a lot of fun with playing it. I know that you guys have enjoyed watching it. When I did my live Roll of Reeds, which was kind of the send-off for Roll of Reeds, everybody commented how much they were going to miss it. I did run a very fun readathon, which was essentially just people playing the game with me in March to celebrate my birthday. So this coming March, I will be doing something similar. I haven't decided yet whether it will be bringing Roll of Reeds back or whether we'll all be playing this new game, and I'm going to ask you guys to help me decide that. But just know that Roll of Reeds hasn't necessarily completely disappeared. I might bring it out from time to time as an alternative, but mostly from now on, at least for the foreseeable future, I will be playing this new game, TBR Campaign. So, I have a new board which I'm going to show you now, but I'm actually going to insert a better image so that you can have a bit of more of a look properly at it in a minute because it's quite big and I don't think it'll fit properly on the screen. Plus, as you will now see, I have been keeping it rolled up, so it's a bit unwieldy. But this is the handheld version that I have right next to me. Now I'm going to insert an image, and as you can see it is a cutaway. So as you can see we have a start down the bottom and an end up the top, and it is a picture of a mountain with a waterfall, and there's a path that kind of zigzags around through the valley and up to the mountain to go from start to finish. There are different kind of resting places, I guess, different spots that you land as you go along and play the game, and as you can see all those different spots have a different image. They correlate to different prompts and different challenges that I will have to do as part of my game. Every time I play the game I will start at start, obviously, and I'm still going to be rolling a d20, so I will roll a d20 and then I will move those spaces along and I will roll as many times as I need to roll in order to get to end, where I will obviously end the game. If I'm rolling really high, I might end up with 2 or 3 books on my TBR, or if I roll really low, I could end up with quite a few. It's going to be very much, we'll see what happens with the board and the rolls. So I'm going to go through now and explain to you what all of the different symbols on the spots mean and what I will have to do for that prompt when I land on it. I do also have some rewards that will take effect under different circumstances, and I'll explain that to you as well. In fact, I think I will explain the rewards and punishments first, because they will come into play at the beginning of every game, except for the first one in November, but from there on in. So what will happen is that at the beginning of every month, I will go through and let you know whether or not I finished my TBR campaign books from the previous month. If I did, then I will get to roll the reward spinner. If I don't read all of the books on previous TBR campaign TBR, then I'll have to take a punishment. The punishments and rewards come into play as we go around the board as well. So just like we had in Roll of Reeds, because I'm rolling a d20 in order to get myself around the board, if I roll a 20 in Dungeons and Dragons, in combat in particular, rolling a 20 is a fantastic thing. It means that you have done a huge amount of damage. You are just an amazing fighter. So in this game, if I roll a 20, then I get to spin the rewards spinner. On the other hand, in D&D, if I roll a 1, then that is a fail. It means that you basically drop your sword, you fall over, or something happens and it's really bad. So in this game, just like again also in Roll of Reeds, if I roll a 1, then I'll have to spin the punishment wheel. In Roll of Reeds, I had the rule that if I rolled the same number 3 times, then I had to add another roll and therefore another book. In this game, if I land on the same symbol twice, then I have to go back 2 places, and also the symbol that I landed on first, which was my second time landing on that symbol in the game, that will be a book, and then wherever I go 2 paces back is another book. So essentially it means 2 books for that roll as well. So it's similar to Roll of Reeds. So that's how the punishments are going to work. So I move around the board, I roll a d20, and obviously I count and land on whatever I land on. Each of the symbols has a different meaning. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through what all the different symbols are and explain what the challenge or prompt is that I will have to do. Okay, so as this is a D&D style TBR campaign, first symbols that I want to explain to you are the different character symbols. So in Dungeons and Dragons, you have race and then you have class. So I have 7 of the main character races with an image of each of those races that I can land on at different points throughout the board. All of the races are to do with genre and category. So I'm going to go through those and let you know what they all are now. First of all, we have a dwarf, and if I land on a dwarf, then I have to read either a classic or a non-fiction. Next up, we have a halfling. If I land on the halfling image, I have to read a literary fiction or a historical fiction. Next up is an elf, and if I land on an elf, then I have to read either a fantasy or a science fiction. Then we have a gnome, and if I land on a gnome, then I have to read a book of short stories or a novella or a graphic novel or manga. Then we have human. If I land on a human, then I have to read a contemporary romance or women's fiction. Then we have an orc. If I land on an orc, I have to read a horror, mystery, thriller, gothic or dark academia book. And then the last of the character races is half-elf. And if I land on a half-elf, then I have to read either a young adult or a middle grade book. Now for character classes. So for the character class squares, rather than putting an image of the different individual classes, because there are a lot, I decided to put an image of a dice. And what I'm going to have to do is if I land on the dice, then I will have to roll a d10. The classes that I have here are numbered 1 to 10. Sorry, I have got the computer here, which I'm reading all this off of in case you were wondering why I was looking down. So character class number 1 is a barbarian, which means that I have to read a book that is predominantly set in a rural setting. Number 2 is a bard, and if I roll a 2, then I have to read a book that features music or has an instrument on the cover. If I roll a 3, then that means I get a cleric, and if I do that, then I have to read a book that features religion or mythology. If I roll a 4, I get a druid, and that means that I have to read a book that features an animal companion or has an animal on the cover. If I roll a 5, then that means that I have a fighter, and if I get a fighter, then I have to read a book that features war and or battles. If I roll a 6, then it is a paladin, and if I get a paladin, then I have to read a book that is predominantly set in a city or an urban environment. If I roll a 7, that is a ranger, and if I get a ranger, then I have to read a book that features travel or a quest. If I get an 8, that is a thief, and if I roll a thief, then I have to read a book that features a morally grey or unlawful character. If I roll a 9, that is a sorcerer, and if I get that, then I have to read a book that is set in a magical or fantasy world. And if I roll a 10, then that is for a wizard, and if I get a wizard, then I have to read a book that is set in our world but features magic, magical realism, or paranormal. So that is the dice symbol on the board, and that is for the character classes. Then I have a battle square, and that is represented by the sword. So if I land on a battle square, then I have to pick a book that I really want to read and a book that I don't particularly want to read, and I again have to roll D20. I roll it once for the book that I do want to read, and I roll one for the book that I don't want to read, and then whichever one has the highest number out of 20, obviously, that is the one that won the battle. So that is the one that I'll have to read. I got the idea from Gavin, from How to Train Your Gavin, his TBR game that he used to play Your TBR Right. It's not the same, obviously, but I got the idea of books battling each other from him. So thanks, Gav. Then I have a dragon symbol, and if I land on the square with dragon, then that is a mood read. So I can read whatever I want, and I don't have to pick it during the game. I can pick it throughout the month and read it throughout the month. But I would tell you that I got the mood read, and then you'd have to watch my vlog and or my monthly wrap up so you know what book I read. Then I have travel squares, and they are represented by the little stepping stone footpath. If I land on a travel square, then I have to choose a travel card. So they have the little footprints on one side, and then they have a prompt. So each of them has another prompt themselves. They're quite similar, some of them, to prompts that I had for Roll of Reads, but there's fewer of them. But yes, I have to choose a prompt card or a travel card and do whatever it is that is on the prompt card. I'm not going to go through and tell you all of what the prompts are on the travel cards because there's quite a few of them, but if you are interested in me doing that, then I can make another video and just go through like I did for Roll of Reads. I did have a video, I can't remember when it went up, but I can link it below, that had all of the prompt cards, me talking through them. So I can do another video like that for the travel cards if people are interested, or if you're just happy for me to just show you as and when they come up, that works as well. And then finally, when I get to the end, that is a book as well, but it is a free choice, but I have to pick it when I get to the end. So every single month I will get a free choice, but I do have to pick it during the game. So you'll get to see what it is. But yeah, that is the new game, TBR Campaign. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that I need to tell you about. I don't think that I do. So just to very quickly recap, I basically have to get from the start to the end. Yes, I know, start should be finish, but whatever. Start to the end, I have to do it for as many rolls as it takes, and that will be how many books I have to read. If I roll a 20, then I get to spin the reward spinner, and there are things like move forward 2 places, move forward 3 places, that sort of thing, so it potentially means that I get less books. On the other hand, if I roll a 1, then I have to spin the punishment spinner, and that has things like go back 2 places and so on, so it potentially means more books. If I land on the same symbol twice in a game, then I have to go back 2 places, again, just adding more books. So, like I said, that's everything. I am now about to film my TBR campaign, the first actual round of it for November. Now, it will go up next Saturday, so this will have gone up Saturday the 24th, I think. Anyway, whenever you're watching it, it will be up, and then the actual game will be up the following Saturday. So stay tuned for that if you want to watch that. I'm also going to, like I said, link my Roll of Reads playlist. So if you want to watch what I used to do and what I may potentially do occasionally as well, then please obviously go and do that. But yeah, that's it from me today. Please leave me a comment and let me know what you think of the new game. Do you think it's going to be fun? I hope that you do. I hope that you're excited. I'm super excited for the new game. As you can see, I put a lot of effort and thought into this one, so I really hope that you enjoy it as well. Please comment below if you would have chosen different things for different symbols and what they would be. If you have a TBR game of your own, or if you are thinking of creating one, please comment that below as well. If you would like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then leave me a dragon, because it is based around Dungeons and Dragons. All of my social media details are listed in the description below, so if you'd like to go and follow me on any of those other platforms, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.